Have you ever wondered what a famous person was like before they were known by everyone in the world? Most people see Meghan Markle as a beautiful duchess who lives a fairy tale life with Prince Harry. But before she wore a crown, she had a completely different life in Hollywood and Toronto. There are many stories and whispers about how she got to where she is today. Some people who knew her a long time ago say she had a secret plan to become rich and famous. They claim she was very tough and would leave anyone behind if they weren't helpful to her anymore. This is a story about her first husband, her secret parties, and the parts of her past that she has tried very hard to erase. Is she really the kind person we see on TV, or is there a much bigger secret she is hiding from the world? Let's look at the clues from her life before she became royalty. Meghan had a husband before Prince Harry, and his name was Trevor Engelson. People who watch them together say that Meghan always followed a simple rule. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets, and what Meghan does not want, she throws away. This basically explains how she treated her relationship with Trevor. Long before she ever met a prince, she was married to this man. A friend who knew Meghan back when she was just starting out says that she was very different back then. This friend saw how Meghan moved through life, and it seems like once she was done with Trevor, she just moved on without looking back. It is hard to believe, but the way Meghan lived her life was very focused on her own goals. The people around her noticed that she was very good at getting exactly what she desired. If a person or a thing was no longer useful for her big plans, she would just get rid of it. This was the pattern of her entire marriage to Trevor Engelson. They were a couple for a long time, but as soon as she started to become more famous, things began to change. Meghan and Trevor were together for more than 5 years. They first met in 2006 when they were both trying to make it big in Hollywood. They got married in 2011, which seemed like a happy time. But only 3 years later, in 2014, they were already getting a divorce. Trevor knew Meghan better than almost anyone else. He knew her before she got her big job on the TV show called Suits. He saw her in her early days when she was still trying to find her way. Because of this, he knows the parts of Meghan that she tries to hide from the cameras today. He saw her before she became a royal duchess, and before she changed her look or her story to fit in with the Queen's family. Trevor Engelson knows a lot of information that would make Meghan very worried if it ever became public knowledge. There's a story that Meghan was so worried about her career that she made a special deal. She allegedly told Trevor that if she ever got pregnant, he would have to pay for a personal trainer and a nutritionist. She was an actress who was becoming famous, and she wanted to make sure her body stayed thin and perfect so she could keep working. Trevor has mostly stayed very quiet about his time with Meghan. Their breakup was not loud or full of fighting in public. Instead, it was very quiet. Some people say she didn't even tell him in person that she wanted a divorce. Instead, she supposedly mailed her wedding ring back to him in the mail. This is very strange for a woman who always talks about being kind and treating everyone with respect. The show Suits became a huge success, and that changed everything for Meghan. Even though she and Trevor had been together for a long time before the show started, the job made them live in different places. Meghan had to move to Canada to film the show, while Trevor stayed in Los Angeles. Meghan later said that living apart was the reason their marriage ended. However, not long after they split up, people found out she was dating Prince Harry. They met on a blind date, and her life changed forever. In 2016, Meghan was living in a nice townhouse in Toronto because of her job on Suits. People say that Prince Harry would visit her there in secret so the cameras wouldn't see them. During these visits, something very interesting was happening. There are rumors that Meghan was involved in something called a run. In the world of fancy parties in Toronto, a run is a special kind of event. It is not the kind of thing most people get to see. Meghan wanted to be a leader in the world of high society and fashion. She wanted to be a famous person that everyone looked up to. According to people who were there, Meghan was very hungry for fame while she was with Trevor. She was not going to let anything stand in her way. She was willing to use any person or any situation to get to the top. She had a vision board, which is a poster where you put pictures of all the things you want to have in the future. She had the grit and the toughness to go after her dreams, even if it meant being a bit cold to others. This is where a place called Soho House becomes important. Soho House is a very private club for people who are very rich and powerful. It is a place where they can enjoy expensive things and talk to each other without any outsiders watching them. For people on the outside, it seems like a mysterious club, but for the people on the inside, it is a place where they can do whatever they want without getting in trouble. People whisper that many secrets and private affairs happened inside the walls of Soho House. This club was Meghan's ticket to a better life. She was an actress who wanted to be famous, and she fit right into this scene. The rule there was, you help me, and I will help you. While Prince Harry was visiting her in secret, Meghan was allegedly organizing one of these run events. This is common in the nightlife of Toronto, but it is not something a future princess would usually do. Usually, these events are hidden from the public, but the secret is starting to come out. People are shocked to hear that Meghan wasn't just attending these parties, she was the one hosting them. These are the kinds of events where people do things that could ruin their reputations. It goes against the kind and royal image that she shows the world today. Meghan wasn't the only person with royal connections there. There are whispers that Princess Eugenie was also involved. Eugenie is the daughter of Prince Andrew, who has had his own big problems in the news. If a princess and a future duchess were at these kinds of parties, it would be a huge disaster for the royal family. It would look very bad for their clean image. People who were at the parties say Meghan moved around the room like she was the boss. She wasn't just a guest, she was the reason everyone else was there. If you only know Meghan as she is now, you would be very surprised to hear her name connected to these wild stories. But to the people who knew her before she cleaned up her image, this sounds exactly like the real Meghan. They say she has been like this since the very beginning. From the time she was married to Trevor until now, she has been focused on herself. They believe she is just much better at gaslighting people now. Gaslighting is when you make people doubt what they see or hear, so they believe your version of the truth instead. The Meghan we see today is like a mirror that only shows what she wants us to see. She has hidden away so much of her past that there is no proof left to argue against her. These stories from the Toronto nights show a different side of Prince Harry, too. Maybe he wasn't tricked by Meghan at all. Maybe he knew exactly who she was and he was okay with it. Harry has had his own troubles and scandals in the past, so maybe he liked the side of Meghan that she now tries to erase. Patterns in life usually tell the truth, even when people tell lies. Long before Meghan had people to write her speeches and help her look perfect, she had a habit of shedding her skin. This means she would get rid of friends, coworkers, and anyone else as soon as they weren't useful to her anymore. People in Toronto say there were two Meghans. One Meghan talked about being a feminist and living a healthy life. The other Meghan was private and only cared about meeting powerful people. The parties she hosted weren't just for fun. They were like auditions where she didn't need a script. She wanted to fill rooms with people who had money and power so they could help her reach the next step on her ladder to fame. In those rooms, the rules were different. There are even stories about people using illegal drugs at these parties. These were open secrets, which means everyone knew about it, but no one wrote it down because the names of the people there were too important. What is really interesting is how many of her old friends just disappeared. They went silent and stopped talking about her. People she used to work with stopped mentioning her name. Photos of her old life were deleted, and her social media was cleaned up very carefully. It wasn't an accident. It was a plan to restart her life with a brand new story. Anyone who didn't fit into her new life as a royal was cut out of her life completely. Trevor Engelson watched all of this happen. He didn't just see a marriage end. He saw Meghan turn into a completely different person. Many people think they broke up because they were far apart, but the truth might be deeper. People say Trevor belonged to an older version of Meghan. Once she got into Hollywood and started meeting more famous people, she didn't need him anymore. She traded her old life for a better one. Her rules seemed to be, take what you need from a person and then leave. When Meghan joined the royal family, she was in her 30s. When she decided to stop talking to people, she didn't do it with a big fight. She just used silence. She wouldn't answer calls or messages, and she would stop inviting them to things. Her friend Jessica Mulroney was blacklisted a few months ago. It wasn't a big scandal, it was just a social death. People were left feeling confused because they were suddenly not important to her anymore. Relationships ended as soon as the person was no longer useful. There are also questions about her age and the dates of things in her life. Some people have noticed that her stories don't always add up. Dates seem to change, and the stories she tells in interviews are different every time. Some think she changed the timeline of her life to make it sound like a fairy tale. A story about a young, innocent girl sounds much better than a story about a woman who spent years trying to become famous. But the people who were there remember the truth, and paper records can't always be erased. Witnesses to her past never truly go away. They might get older or move to different cities, but they remember what happened. The people in Toronto and Hollywood and even her old staff all remember the real Meghan. The problem with trying to reinvent yourself over and over is that you need everyone else to forget the past. That is a very big risk. You can delete all the photos you want, but you can't delete what people experienced. The truth will always try to come back. When you look back, everything Meghan did seems very planned. She's not where she is today because of luck or destiny. She is there because she made very tough and cold choices. She studied how to be powerful and how to be around important people. She learned which rooms were important to be in and when it was time to leave. She learned how to change her story until even her critics started to doubt their own memories. Changing her story became something she did naturally. She would act like a victim when it helped her, or like a brave survivor when she wanted to sell a story. She would use different versions of herself for different audiences. If anyone tried to say she was lying, she would call them mean names or say they were just jealous. This was her way of controlling what people thought of her. By controlling the story, she made herself look perfect. Even with all the perfect interviews and staged photos, something still feels wrong. People can sense that the story doesn't quite fit together. The truth is like a strong smell. It stays around no matter how much perfume you use. You can try to hide it for years, but it eventually finds a way out. Trevor Engelson is more than just an ex-husband. He is a reminder of who Meghan was before she had a big PR team to help her. He saw the real girl who was hungry for fame. Even though he is quiet, his silence is very powerful. The most ironic part is that Meghan's greatest strength might also be her biggest weakness. Changing who you are works for a while, but eventually the past catches up to you. Cutting people off works until those people start talking to each other and comparing stories. People always remember the truth. When enough memories come together, the truth doesn't have to shout to be heard. It just exists. Underneath the shiny brand and the stories about helping people, there is a story that refuses to stay hidden. It is a story made of faces she doesn't see anymore and friends she left behind. It is a story of truths that were not convenient for her new life. No matter how high she climbs or how powerful she becomes, the truth is still there in the shadows. It is waiting for the moment when silence is no longer enough to keep it covered up. The real story of Meghan Markle is still being told by the people who knew her before the world did.